Welcome to Fireside Giants. My name is Alex with my co-host here, Anthony Rivardo. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel on YouTube, or if you're listening on audio via Spotify or Apple, make sure to subscribe there as well. Plenty of good content on the way for you guys. And of course, today we want to talk about Andrew Thomas. His return to practice, designated to return to practice today. But what does that mean for the Giants? Is he going to play on Monday? Are they going to have him against the Bucs? So the Giants finally going to break out of this mold of not being able to throw downfield. We have a couple of interesting statistics for you, a couple of interesting, talking points that we want to discuss in terms of the game plan with or without Andrew Thomas. Before we do so, Anthony, how you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great, and I think that the return of Andrew Thomas means a lot for the Giants. I think this is a huge boost to the Giants' offense. Andrew Thomas returning from this lower leg injury that he suffered versus the Rams. Of course, he was injured in Week 4, sat out Week 5, played in Week 6, but did not last the whole game. Got rolled up on, hurt his leg once again. Been on IR for quite a minute, but he's finally designated to return to practice. And I'm excited, man, because this is going to mean a much better version of the Giants offense and a much better version of Daniel Jones, presumably. Because if you look at the statistics from before Andrew Thomas got injured to after Andrew Thomas got injured, there is a clear night and day difference between how efficient and how productive Daniel Jones has been. So I'm really excited for Andrew Thomas to return to the starting lineup. I think it's going to be huge for the Giants, and I'm excited to see him continue to build on what was a beginning of a breakout sophomore season.
Yeah, I mean, look, Daniel Jones has had his fair share of ups and downs, but I want to give you one number that gives you a pretty clear indication of how important having his left tackle is. And right off the bat, this one stood out to me. I was doing some research. News is kind of slow right now as the Giants prepping for Monday, of course, just returning to practice and stuff. But this stat made me go, oh crap, or rather, oh shit. The Giants are looking at a big problem here, and the game plan is directly impacted by the loss and the presence of Andrew Thomas. Now, when Daniel Jones has Andrew Thomas at left tackle, he's had him for about 5 games this year. When he has him at left tackle, he's averaging 285 yards per game passing. When Daniel Jones doesn't have Andrew Thomas at left tackle, he's averaging 158 yards of passing. That is almost 130-yard difference. That is a 50% difference. That is crazy. He has a 50% decrease in passing yards when Andrew Thomas is not playing at left tackle. That should give you a pretty clear indication that Jason Garrett, Joe Judge, they know they have a big weakness at left tackle. They know the tackles are not doing their job well, even if they say they have faith and trust in them. They know that they have to change the strategy and the scheme to fit the personnel they do have, which is why we saw a very run-heavy game last week, or rather 2 weeks ago, against the Raiders, and having Devontae Booker rush for almost 100 yards and have a couple receptions. It is a quick hitting offense right now with run-oriented strategies. We're going to see, I think, in my opinion, we're going to see a lot of Kadarius Toney if he's healthy in this game upcoming. Kenny Golladay, they're not going to be able to wait for him to get downfield. He's not the fastest guy in the world, Kenny Golladay. So I don't think we're going to be able to use him in that way. It's going to be the Kadarius Toney and the Devontae Booker show once again. Maybe a little Evan Ingram and Kyle Rudolph sprinkled in. But if Toney is healthy for this game, I mean, he's going to be the catalyst. They got to run the offense through him until Andrew Thomas gets back, because otherwise they're just not going to give Daniel Jones enough time in the pocket, Anthony. And another interesting stat before I let you kind of get your take on this is that here's the interception numbers for Daniel Jones when Andrew Thomas is playing, and I'm not counting the Hail Mary against the Saints at halftime. He's thrown 0 interceptions when Andrew Thomas is starting at left tackle when he's in the game. Without Andrew Thomas, he's thrown 4 interceptions. That should give you a pretty clear indication that Daniel Jones just isn't able to see the field as well. He's stuck on his first reads. He's following hot reads that defenses are picking up. I mean, think about the Kansas City Chiefs. Their linebacker stepped right in front of a throw 2 weeks ago, because it was like the second play of the game, and Daniel Jones is like, I gotta get the ball out quick, gets the ball out quick, and then he just steps right in front of it, picks it off. Of course, you can attribute some of the blame to DJ for not looking off that linebacker and not seeing him there. But at the same time, they're being forced to really settle for shorter throws, and it's making the offense a lot more predictable, which increases the probability of turnovers, which is why Daniel Jones has seen 4 interceptions without Andrew Thomas at left tackle. And Anthony, how important is Andrew Thomas? Because I give you a couple statistics. They're pretty clear cut. They indicate his presence makes Daniel Jones almost twice as much better, I guess.
Yeah, I love those statistics. I used them in my article this morning about the Giants getting Andrew Thomas back from injured reserve. Andrew Thomas is wildly important to this team. I mean, he was arguably the MVP of this team before he went down with an injury. Granted, we did a video like last week where we went over our offensive and defensive MVPs. I said Daniel Jones. Alex actually did say Andrew Thomas because when he was healthy, he was that good. And when he hasn't been on the field, you've seen how valuable he was because the offense just has not been the same without Andrew Thomas. So you basically now have Daniel Jones trying to carry this awful offense down the field and into games. But Daniel Jones really can't just carry the team every single game. I mean, it's not like he's Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers. He's Daniel Jones. He's a young quarterback that's still trying to learn and figure out how to be successful in the NFL. You need to pair that with a good offensive line. The Giants have not had one at all this season, but when they have had good offensive line play, Andrew Thomas has been on the field doing the most. He's been doing pretty much everything that you ask a left tackle to do. He's been phenomenal. This year, he's only let up 0 sacks. He's let up 7 pressures in total in 5 games. I mean, that's phenomenal pass protection. Only 2 penalties, 293 total snaps, and only 7 pressures. Really great statistics there. Andrew Thomas was having a year in those first 5 games that he played in, and hopefully he can continue to play well once he returns to the lineup because, again, having Daniel Jones in a clean and comfortable pocket open things up for the offense. It allows the Giants to take more deep shots. It allows Daniel Jones to feel more comfortable in the pocket, meaning he has more time to survey the field and feel good about the decisions that he's making when throwing the ball downfield. It's really, really important that Andrew Thomas re enters the lineup because it's going to allow Jason Garrett to open up the playbook for Daniel Jones. And then in turn, Daniel Jones is going to have more time in the pocket to survey the field and make the right reads, which has always been a good thing for Daniel Jones. Whenever he has good offensive line play, we've seen him make the right reads. When he doesn't have good offensive line play, that's when we see him struggle. So there's been a couple struggles here and there. The Giants have won a couple games, sure, without Andrew Thomas in the lineup, but still, there's been some struggles. They're not exactly winning the games by throwing the ball. They're really winning on the tail of their defense. So maybe with this good defense that's playing, we can combine that with a little bit of a better offense once Andrew Thomas re-enters the lineup and the passing game gets going, and then hopefully the Giants can get really competitive down the stretch. Again, Andrew Thomas, super important to the success of this offense.
I mean, look at the Saints game, for example. I mean, Andrew Thomas had his best game of his career, absolutely deleting Cam Jordan. And Daniel Jones has his second highest grade of the year. The only thing that dampened it was the interception, which was the Hail Mary I mentioned before. He had 402 passing yards in that game and a 70% completion percentage, and he was throwing the ball downfield. He had 1 turnover play. I mean, you're looking at the guy at 85.7% adjusted completion percentage, and his receivers had the second lowest drop percentage of the season, right? He got sacked approximately 0 times in that game. 0 times he was sacked. He had 402 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and he had one of the best games of his career when he had Andrew Thomas in the lineup playing at an elite level. So that's just a clear indication that if the Giants can get Andrew Thomas healthy next year at left tackle, they can get themselves a right tackle, whether that be Evan Neal. There's a bunch of other guys in this draft class, that we will do some evaluations on in the future. But I'm excited to see, what this offense can do when guys are healthy. This offensive line is healthy and they have some continuity and some consistency. I think we're going to see a different version of Daniel Jones when that happens. But, looking ahead to the Bucs, there's still a very slim chance that Andrew Thomas actually makes a return. He's apparently limbering around. He was designated for practice today, but he's still not 100% healthy. He's limping around a little bit, and I think that's going to keep him out for at least one more week. And if that is the case, we should expect to see a Matt Pert, Nate Solder combination once again. What do we expect from that type of, combination, that duo, that pairing? Is pretty much a run-heavy game. And like I said before, Kadarius Toney is going to have to be the focal point in this game. If his ankle is healthy, if his thumb's laceration is healed, Kadarius Toney is going to be the big guy in this game. They are going to have to lean on him as the primary receiver, talking about bubble screens, talking about slants, talking about drag routes, intermediate crossers, if they can give Daniel Jones even a hint of time. I'd also like to see them draw attention to the deeper portions of the field. Use Darius Slayton, use Evan Ingram up the seam. Push those linebackers, push those corners and safeties out of the box, and then get the ball to Kadarius Toney in the middle of the field and let him work in space. That is where he's best. If you the Bucs don't have very good corners right now. Richard Sherman's out; they're really, really struggling there. They have Ross Cockrell as their primary, I think, top guy right now. Who we remember him as a Giant a couple of years ago. But that's probably not a good thing for the Bucs if he's their primary corner at the moment. When you're looking at that, I would love to see them, hopefully, I think teams are starting to figure out you have to play press against Kadarius Toney because you have to jam him. Otherwise, if you give him off ball coverage, all he needs is a bubble screen and he's going to get by you. So I think that's how the Raiders kind of combated Kadarius Toney's impact. They used him. They used press man coverage to really throw him off his game, and I just think the Giants weren't using him in general. They were really using more of a decoy strategy with him. But what I'd like to see them do is what they do with Cooper Kupp, what Los Angeles does with Cooper Kupp. I'd love to see them put him in motion and have him run into his routes. Run straight into his routes, because that is where you're going to have guys in man coverage who simply can't keep up with Kadarius Toney. If you have him running into his route, into a zig, and he opens those hips up and he shifts all the way back around like we saw against Trayvon Diggs against Dallas in week 5, and you see him do that, there is nobody, and that's for sure against a guy like Ross Cockrell, that is going to be able to stop him. Not a single guy. There's nobody on that Bucs team that can stop him when he uses those zig routes. And I think that when we're talking about a guy like Kadarius Toney, you got to get him in motion, get creative. However, I'm tired of the Kadarius Toney throwing it downfield and that failing. I like the creativity of it. I don't mind seeing it once a game. I don't mind, it's fine to me. It's whatever. But at the end of the day, if that's the extent of our creativity with a guy like him, a guy of his talent and his caliber, then we are really sorely in trouble at offensive coordinator, which we might already know. But I think Kadarius Toney, if he's healthy, this offense needs to run through him this game, and it's going to be the Devontae Booker show as well. So, Anthony, when you're looking at this, Matt Peart starting, which is, I guess, is the worst case scenario, how do you see the Giants, operating in these conditions?
Yeah, like you mentioned, Matt Parrott likely to start. Andrew Thomas designated to return to practice, but still not fully practicing yet. Means he's getting healthy, but he's not there just yet. So they want to keep him in the loop, keep him at practice so that he can get playing hopefully next week versus Philadelphia. That's going to be the game that Andrew Thomas has circled. But someone else is likely to play this week. You're mentioning Kadarius Toney. Yeah, he's going to play, and hopefully he has a big game. But Saquon Barkley seems pretty likely to play this week. So Devontae Booker's show, I think he'll probably get the majority of the snaps and the carries. Devontae Booker will. But you're probably going to see some snaps from Saquon Barkley as well. And we know when he gets the ball in the open field, he can make anybody miss, literally anyone in the NFL. He made Luke Kuechly miss during his rookie season in 2018. He was juking Luke Kuechly out of his shoes, and Luke Kuechly was by far the best tackler in the NFL at the time. So Saquon can make anyone miss when he's healthy and he's playing well. If he's in the lineup, he should have some touches and have some explosive plays. But I agree with you, Alex. I think that the Giants need to start using Kadarius Toney in a better way. They need to start putting him in motion more often, have him, take the ball, run some routes through his motion, because then he already has a full head of steam. His momentum is already going, so that once the ball is snapped, he just goes and he has all the momentum behind him to run a really good routes. Really, just more pre-snap motion. The Giants have used more motion, to Jason Garrett's credit. They've used more motion this year, but I'd still like to see them get a little more creative with the motion and use it even more frequently. I think that it's a crucial part of NFL offenses. Anytime you send someone in motion, 4 NFL players are on the defense have to shift. So that's crucial for NFL offenses to start utilizing and making the most of. With Kadarius Toney, though, I really like your points about the game plan revolving around Kadarius Toney due to the fact that he has that short area speed, right? You can kind of just dump it off to him on a drag route, and he can turn a 3-yard drag route into a 40-yard catch and run. So he's got the ability to do things like that, and that's unique to where no one else on the Giants offense, minus a healthy Saquon Barkley, can possibly do that. And maybe Evan Engram when he has his 1 or 2 phenomenal games of the season, right? Which I think he's already had his 1 or 2 phenomenal games by his standards. So I don't really see that happening from Evan Engram, though, to be fair, last time he took a drag route to the house was against Tampa Bay in 2019. He took one all the way 75 yards. So who knows? The Giants just need to start utilizing more of their fast players in that fashion. You don't have to send all your fast players vertically or send them on curl routes like John Ross running a bunch of curl routes. Let's have John Ross run some more deep posts like the ones that he scored on against the Saints. Let's have Evan Engram run some more crossers so that he can catch the ball in stride and then turn upfield. And let's also do the same thing with Kadarius Toney. More shallow crossers, give him the ball, he catches it, turns upfield. Maybe he can take it to the house. Give him some screen passes, put him in the backfield. Get really creative with Kadarius Toney because he is by far the Giants' most explosive weapon right now. And I think that he should be the focal point of the Giants' passing game. And really, if the Giants do come away with a win on Monday night, I think you're probably referring to Kadarius Toney being the MVP of that game, going to have over 100 receiving yards and hopefully his first touchdown of his career because he has that explosive ability. The Giants just have not been using it. Granted, he's been injured, but it's time now. He seems completely healthy. unlock Kadarius Toney, use him in every creative way possible, and get him to have a huge game like he had against the Cowboys. And hopefully this time we're on the winning end of that game, and Kadarius Toney can have a solid performance in a big W over the Buccaneers. I love your ideas there, Alex, about getting Kadarius Toney more involved in the game plan, and I absolutely think that should be the focal point for the Giants on Monday.
Right. And, the Giants have somehow managed to win two of the last three games without Andrew Thomas in the lineup, thankfully, to a just dominant defense the last couple of weeks. But, getting him back should give the offense a little bit more leverage, give them a little bit more production and efficiency in the scoring department, red zone efficiency, throwing the ball downfield, getting it to John Ross, Darius Slayton, and whatnot. Last week, they only had one pass travel 20 plus yards. In the past 2 weeks combined, they've only had two passes go 20 plus yards and three passes go 15 plus yards. So talk about the impact that Andrew Thomas has. It's not even like, it's so insanely like incomprehensible how valuable he is to this team that I can't even begin to start to tell you how much it impacts Daniel Jones, because the strategy, the play calling, everything changes when you don't have a left tackle who can pass protect. Everything changes. So I think that's important to note as we move forward, and hopefully Andrew Thomas comes back and Daniel Jones. This next 8 weeks for DJ are essential for his growth. His, his kind of the argument he's building to be the future of this team. The next couple of weeks are really important for him to prove to people that he can be a great quarterback. He can step up and do things and carry a team that may have some injuries and whatnot. But I think having that left tackle on Andrew Thomas is the first necessity and a first priority for the Giants to get healthy. So make sure to subscribe below, my friends, on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. As always, I hope you enjoyed the episode talking about Andrew Thomas, the impact he has on this team, and how the Giants may game plan against the Buccaneers. We'll talk a little bit further about it in the week, maybe on Friday or Saturday or Sunday, as we take a look at the Bucs and really their injury report and whatnot this week. But as I said, have a fantastic week, and we'll catch you guys in the next Fireside Giants episode.